About the movie?
You're good at
Well,
telling what it's about.
Whoever.
So I'll let
the
Jordana
movie is about Judy Moody wanting to have the best summer ever with her friends until she finds out that they're going away on vacation, and so are her parents, and she's left with her little brother, Stink, daughter, and her Aunt Opal, who she thinks is going to be Aunt Awful. Now, a lot of things don't go right for Judy. Like, she falls off the tightrope, she gets puked on the roller coaster, she goes on a poop picnic, and Opal comes and turns the situation around. They have the best summer ever. Whilst looking for Bigfoot. I always forget that.
Don't forget about Bigfoot.
While looking for Bigfoot.
Yes.
Now, I'm interested to know how similar or different is the movie to the books? Because I always feel like there's always something lost in translation.
Well, I co-wrote the screenplay, so I got to choose what story I wanted to tell for the film. And I decided sometimes as a reader, it can be disappointing when you see the film if it doesn't match the book or if you don't. So I just decided I'm going to come up with a whole new adventure for Judy because I don't want readers to be disappointed. And I think it really works because it's a new story, so kids won't be comparing it directly to the book, but there's so much in the film from the books, like the Toad Pea Club and her friends and her
bedroom.
Mouse the cat, her whole room, so
Jaws.
readers are going to really kind of get the movie on a whole different level because they'll see like her ABC gum collection and all these funny things they
All
know,
the details.
recognize from the books. Yeah, and it doesn't matter, you don't have to know that, but if you do know like she has a Venus flytrap,
add something
then
to
it's
it.
going to add to it when you see, they have all these funny little graphics that come around her head and go into the Venus flytrap. So little touches like that, I think readers are really going to have fun.
That's all. Yeah, that's also great for viewers or audience that may or may not already know the book series.
So my hope is kids who go to the movie will then find their way back to the books and see where it all began with Judy and Stink. So.
And that's always cool. It adds a different dimension.
Yeah, and you kind of feel like, ooh, I have a chance to maybe make a reader out of someone who maybe hasn't, known about the books. So.
That's such a good point. Now, either one of you, what are some memorable scenes from the movie?
So many.
They're all of them really, but my two favorites was the tightrope scene, because that was so much fun, and the circus scene was great because there was the elephants and the ponies, and the people doing the gymnastics tricks, and people fire breathing, and cotton candy. That was great, and balloons everywhere. I know what Meghan's gonna say.
Well, actually, I think my favorite scene is probably the roller coaster scene.
I
just
knew
find
it.
so funny. But my favorite moment in the film, I don't know if you know this, but it's the fun sponge. Because Judy and her friend Frank have a fight and a falling out. And he is just fed up to here with her with all her points and charts and dares. And he's like, you're missing the whole point of summer, which is fun. And he calls her a fun sponge. And this happens while they're at a fright night at a movie. They're at a zombie movie. And Jordana is in my favorite costume in the film, which is like a Bridezilla costume with this huge beehive Bridezilla wig.
It's like made out of anything she's got.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
And Frank is dressed as Frankenstein. So they're having this little friendship fight, and they're both dressed as these crazy characters. And then of course, it's just this emotional moment because you just want them to patch it up and work out their friendship.
Oh, that sounds awesome! I can't wait to see that. Now, Jordana, what was the most challenging aspect of your role, you think?
I don't think there was really anything challenging about it. I mean, it was so much fun and everything. Like, the dialect, getting the American accent wasn't too hard. It was fun, but the most challenging scene was the roller coaster scene because I was scared already. I've never been on one that big, and having to say the lines on the way up, and
you're so brave.
And knowing he was going to puke on me when I got to the top was not. I was dreading it. I had to look not scared, and so that was my most challenging scene.
I don't know how you did that.
I'm scared of heights, and I went on this gigantic roller coaster.
I think it'd be hard to ride it, but then to have to remember your lines and the pacing
I was
and the
Yeah, sure.
and knowing that like your friend's gonna be knowing what's gonna happen when you get to the top of that hill.
Yeah.
Did you have to do multiple takes of it?
Well, that's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, I can't mess up my lines. I have to get this done in one take. And so there's 3 cameras, one facing me, one facing Frank, and one facing out. And I'm like, surely this is going to work in one take.
Sure.
And the director, we got back, and he looks at it over, and everyone's watching intently, and he said, that was perfect. I'm like, oh, thank goodness I couldn't have done it again.
So happy.
That's something. I mean, it's hard to redo. You know.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
how do you?
Can't imagine.
I was
We're
covered
so
in puke.
lucky
Ew.
that you both did that. So amazing in one
Lucky he
take.
got the angle of the puke right.
I know. What if he missed you? You'd have to go do it again.
Can you imagine putting that on your resume? Got
Yes.
the angle of puke just right.
I didn't tell him that.
Hey, you know, you never know when
Started
that.
in filter, angle view.
Now, okay. So, what are some of the most important takeaways from the film? Like, what do you want, other kids or families to get out of the movie?
Me personally, I'm not sure about you, but for me, I want to encourage kids to go and have a non-boring summer by doing the things they like best and trying new things at the same time, and not being stuck in front of the computer and TV all day, going out and doing something right. Yeah, that's my.
I love that answer.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
That is really great.
Yeah.
And what about you, Meghan? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I mean, first of all, I just want it to be a fun experience, so I hope it'll really make people laugh and just enjoy themselves. But also, I think for grown-ups, I kind of hope it helps, it reminds them of their own childhoods a little bit, brings that back. And for kids, I think, I hope they get inspired by Judy. There aren't many movies with a really strong girl heroine as the main character that are live action, not animated. And I think Judy's just, she's kind of like your best friend, but also she's so like independent and creative, and whatever Judy is into, she is way passionate about it. So I just hope that's kind of infectious and that kids will get inspired by her character.
I think that's so important, especially for girls.
For girls especially,
to find a passion and stick with it and
Yeah.
follow through.
Yeah.
But you never know where it might lead. That's a great segue. Who were the major influence for the characters in the book/movie?
Well, originally, when I first wrote the books, I was writing stories about growing up with 4 sisters. Even though I changed it to Judy and Stink, and it's a brother and sister, it was really based on my own family. So probably my sisters would be the inspiration most of all for the character.
Well, that's great. Now, to go back to the, you were talking a little about, kids being on the computer and stuff. What is your overall thought on, too much screen time for kids? What are your suggestions on getting kids out there?
Well, I guess that's what I hope the movie does, because Judy's out there to have the best summer ever, like trying something new every day. She's done the roller coaster, something she's never done. She's never surfed a wave. She's never gone a tightrope. She's just getting out there and doing something. No one's told her this. She's just thought this up, and I hope the kids do that, because I feel that, when you spend time, I mean, it's good sometimes to be on the computer and that, but 24/7, like a lot of kids doing these days, I want people to go back and do what Judy does, like what you said, like you used to do with your sisters, and that's so good, and I still do it with my cousins, and that's what I hope they get to do as well.
Oh, that's great. Now, I guess I was told to wrap up, but now, I'd love to hear what some of your most favorite summertime adventures.
Ooh, you have some good
Sure.
ones.
I have I can't decide between 2 of them.
You
I'll
can tell us.
them very quickly.
Yeah.
The first one was when my older cousin and I, this is only last summer, the parents went out for breakfast somewhere, and we're like, oh no, we'll stay here, it's all good. And we decided to cook a pavlova. No, meringues. But the mixture was a bit too runny for that. The piping wasn't working. So we're like, okay, we'll make it into a pavlova, a big square pavlova. So putting it in the oven.
I'm impressed that she even knows this
We're
stuff.
like, and and it spilled all over the oven. We got a wet cloth. We didn't know we were wiping the oven, and then smoke starts coming out.
Oh,
We're like, oh my gosh,
my.
oh my gosh. We're like, oh my gosh, just shut the oven up, unplug it from the wall. So we're like unplugging it, and then we're like wiping out the floor, and it's like all oily and everything. And the parents get home, and days later they're like, it's still
What's
slippery
that
in this spot. I don't get what's going on. We're like pouring it down the sink and washing it down the sink, all the mixture. That's funny. And then another time was when last Easter, so just the Easter we just had, my cousins and I, we decided to go rowing up to the beach. So we rowed up to the beach, and this is at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's getting dark, and we're running down sand dunes, and in the water we're picking up rocks, and it's like pitch black. We had to row like a mile back down the river. We're like, we better get going. So we're going, and we're soaking wet. We get home, and the parents are standing there.
Oh boy.
Where have you been? But then the parents just went, oh, that's okay, it's Easter, and they started laughing. That was really fun because it was
that's
like
good when you don't
I've
get in
never
trouble.
done that before. It's just my cousins and I were just like all bonding. That was really fun.
That's so funny.
But what about you?
Yeah.
Well, I guess summer for me, I just think of the beach. So I live near the coast in California, and I love to just go take long walks on the beach. And my husband and I found this, we call it Secret Beach because we hope like nobody discovered it, but we found like all these really cool agates, so we go agate hunting. And so probably that's the most quintessential thing. But I also love just to read, and you know, I'm happy to be
Read
at
by
home
the
in
beach.
my
That is
hammock
my
and
ideal summer.
out in my garden and reading good books.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to
thanks for
speak with
talking
me.
with us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.